What's up, guys? Back again to r/NuclearRevenge. I really needed this subreddit after last episode. Some sweet justice. First, we've got a story of Marvin Heemeyer and his Killdozer. Second, we've got a man who was cheated out of everything he owns. And finally, we've got a story of a young brat who decides to brag about his game consoles. So, see what happens to him. And finally, you know we've got our bonus at the end, so make sure you stick around for that as well. Alright, let's get in the stories. See you in a bit. Ruin Marvin's business? Well, here comes the Killdozer. As a preface to this, I'm not part of this story. I don't know anyone from this story. But it's a piece of documented history that I thought would fit this subreddit. And when I searched for it, to check to make sure I'm not just reposting, I didn't find it. While I believe it does fit the title Nuclear Revenge, it is sort of a bittersweet revenge because of the ending. Marvin Heemeyer of Granby, Colorado, was said to be a reasonable man. He was also known for his muffler shop, his welding skills, and for being a nice person. 1992, he'd bought the ground to build his muffler shop on for $42,000 from Resolution Trust Corporation, the federal agency organized to handle the assets of failed savings and loan institutions. Later, he sold some of the land near his shop for the construction of a concrete batch plant, Mountain Park Concrete. The price was agreed to $250,000. In 2001, the city zoning commission zoned an area for the concrete batch plant to be built on. The problem was that this plant would block the only road leading to Marvin's shop. So like any good citizen, Marvin petitioned for the zone to be moved slightly so that the road isn't blocked. He was denied. Instead, the town fined him $2,500 for not being connected to the sewage network. But get this, it was the construction company that broke his sewage line, disconnecting him. He tried to convey this to the city, but they wouldn't listen. So he endured. He then tried to petition to build a new road, even volunteering to build it all by himself, and thinking the city had no reason to say no, as this would solve the problem. He went out and bought the necessary equipment to do so, including a bulldozer. This is very important. The town denied his request to build a new road, and instead fined him for going 8 feet within the concrete property line to fix the sewage pipe. He was forced to sell more of his land and close down the shop as people couldn't get to it. Marvin had had enough. He started recording some tapes about his thoughts and began building the machine that would get him his revenge over the course of a year in his barn. Several friends and family were in the barn over this year, and none of them noticed the steadily more and more armored bulldozer sitting in the corner. To quote some of his tapes before he set forth, "Because of your anger, because of your malice, because of your hate, you would not work with me," he started his tape recordings. "I'm gonna sacrifice my life, my miserable future that you gave me to show you that what you did is wrong." He received several visitors at his shop while working on his armored vehicle of vengeance, and none of them seemed alarmed at the weaponized armored shell atop his earth mover. In his notes, Heemeyer credited a higher power with clouding their vision. On one occasion, he wrote, "I was always willing to be reasonable, until I had to be unreasonable. Sometimes, reasonable men must do unreasonable things." In 2004, his father died. Then, he caught his wife with another man. On the morning of Friday, June 4th, 2004, the day of his vengeance had come. He mailed his tapes to his brother, then climbed aboard his Killdozer. He then used the winch controls from within to lower the armor onto the bulldozer. The armor was made of almost a foot of steel plates and concrete and weighed over 30 tons. To see, he had several cameras on the outside, wired up to 2 monitors inside, each surrounded in almost 3 inches of bulletproof glass, and they even had compressed air to blow away dust. On the sides of his vehicle, he had also implemented 2 rifles which could be fired from within. The armor covered the cab, the engine, and some of the track as well. With all this protection, he was determined to be unstoppable. At 3 p.m. that day, he drove the Killdozer through the wall of the barn and made his way to the cement factory, which was fully built. He smashed the entire factory to pieces. At this point, people were calling 911. One man tried to get in the way of the Killdozer with a front loader, but ran away after some shots were fired. In just a few minutes, 2 buildings and several cars were crushed. Then, he made his way the rest of the way into town, with police on all sides trying to stop him. One officer jumped on board and shot 37 times, and not a single bullet got in. When he reached the town, the police had realized the bullets were useless and started trying to use explosives. These had no effect at all. By now, people were being evacuated, and news helicopters were flying overhead. But Heemeyer was still able to seek out and hit his specific targets. The bulldozer effortlessly demolished cars and buildings, including the home of a former mayor, the office of a newspaper that had sided against him in an editorial, the business of a former city councilman, and the city hall. When the state governor was alerted, he almost ordered an Apache attack helicopter to come and fire Hellfire missiles at the Killdozer, but decided it would cause more damage than the Killdozer. Despite the destruction of property, no people had been injured or killed. One man brought an industrial scraper to block the Killdozer's path, but it was effortlessly pushed out of the way and almost flipped. An hour into the chaos, the radiator had sprung a leak, and the Killdozer was losing power. After destroying 13 buildings, Marvin made his way up to his next target, Gamble's Hardware. Unfortunately for Marvin, as he destroyed the building, the floor collapsed, and the front of the Killdozer became wedged in between the wall and the ceiling of the basement, and it wasn't strong enough to pull itself out. After all the rampaging, Marvin had caused more than $7.5 million in damage, but rather than serve a prison sentence, he shot himself within the Killdozer as SWAT teams tried to gain entry. They tried to use explosives, but in the end, it took 12 hours with a oxyacetylene torch and a crane to crack the armored top. Thanks for having my back on that one, dictionary.com. You're the best. So I'm gonna post a picture of what the Killdozer looks like right now. But if you want to see more pictures of what it looks like, as well as read some of the source material that this guy got, make sure you check the description below. I left his initial thread down there, so go check it out. There's a lot of cool information. Threaten my brother's life? Lose literally everything. Background: I have, and always will be, intensely protective over my family. If I can prevent them from seeing harm, I will, at practically all costs. Especially my brother, who happens to have OCD and has been the kindest brother I could have possibly asked for. Even though I just started my junior year of high school, I'd been practicing card cheating since 5th grade. It was to the level that even if you thought I was cheating, the sleights were so hard to see, you couldn't see them while looking for them, even though my shuffling, intentionally, looked quite sloppy. The friends I had at this table, the 3 of them, for this incident, knew I had this skill, and played with me anyways. They're probably playing with me now as you read this, knowing my life. I grew up in a neighborhood that basically believed that any disability warranted your death, and that any kid with a mental disorder doesn't deserve to exist. So naturally, my brother was targeted quite often with hate and threats about his OCD. The beginning. Note, all of this happened in one day. I found everything out that morning, began planning, and it fell into place that night. To my surprise, and thanks to one of my 3 friends that sat at the table with me, I'd found out that someone was threatening to murder my brother for having OCD. When I found out this person was gonna play cards with us that afternoon, everything fell into place. He didn't know he was about to play cards with one of the most protective brothers he'll ever see, and probably his last. The Revenge. Later that night, two of my friends, who weren't yet in on it, noticed something odd. I nearly immediately sat in the dealer's seat, which usually meant I was about to do something sneaky, which I was. I said, "Playing for cash, are we?" To which the man, we'll call X, said he'd love to. I knew he'd fall for it, since I also knew he was quite well off, due to some digging I did before the night began. Then, we began to play. My friends began to notice that neither of them were losing, and that the man opposite the table was losing. My plan was showing itself. I was cheating the guy. Hard. He wouldn't stop either, because I did the easiest trick in the book, making him have a really strong hand to think he had a shot, when in reality, I'd forced a far better hand on one of my friends. In total, he lost around 300K, 100K to each of my friends individually. Turns out, that was his entire savings, and he actually paid up, which I definitely had not anticipated. And naturally, when you pay your entire savings to some random kids, you lose some stuff. And boy did this guy lose a lot of stuff. Note, I wasn't actually playing, even though I was dealing the cards. Me and my friends played against each other and not the dealer. So the dealer was only dealing and not playing. Therefore, I never saw a cent of that money. Didn't want to either. Friends deserved it after keeping up that facade for just long enough for him to lose what he did. Aftermath. I found out later that when X's wife noticed he had no more money left, she left him. Apparently, she was a gold digger and only married him to have his money. He had no more money, so his job had to just barely pay for bills and food, which then stopped as he took up alcohol after hitting a huge depression. His job fired him after showing up to work completely hammered, and he lost his house, his car, and every single belonging that he had under a financial agreement. He was now homeless, alone, depressed, alcoholic. When winter came, he apparently didn't fare so well against the cold, especially after getting soaked by a splash from a car driving by, and eventually froze to death on the streets. I let my friends keep the money and treat themselves with it. The one that got the guy to the table especially deserved it, since he made the entire master plan fall into place. Honestly, I believe that this was only a tale of my execution of his master plan. As I said, I would protect my family at all costs. Didn't say who had to pay the costs, did I? I really don't think his wife is a gold digger. I mean, he just up and wasted all of his money on gambling without even consulting her. I'd probably do the exact same thing in her position. Brag in my face and harass me? Say goodbye to your PlayStation. So let me start off by saying, this happened about 3 years ago, when the PSVR came out. I was minding my business while chopping some wood and drinking lemonade. Brisk, I love it. And some entitled kid who lived on the street came over. His family was living in luxury and he was spoiled. He would knock on people's door just to brag about getting a new game system, a new car, a new effing job even. This guy was the jerk I've wanted to call some horrible things. Anyways, I was minding my own business in my yard. It's an L shape. I was at the corner of the yard, so where somebody could just walk by and enter my yard. And this entitled little brat comes by. Let's call him Timmy. Conversation goes as followed. Timmy: "Hey Chris." Me: "What do you want?" Timmy: "Why are you splitting wood? That's so boring." Me: "Well, I'm sorry, but I enjoy doing some work every now and then." Timmy: "Well, you're poor anyways. I wouldn't expect you to have a VR to do some real exercise in." Me: "Okay. Well, anyways, I'm gonna get back to work. Goodbye." He cuts me off. Timmy: "Here, let me show you." He comes over with a PlayStation 4 Pro and a PSVR box. Me: "Cool, Timmy," in an annoyed tone. Timmy: "Why are you annoyed? Because you're poor?" Me: "No." Timmy: "Well, you're Lebanese or something. I heard they yell for conversations. Timmy. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Me. Shut up, you racist little brat. Timmy. Up in my face. Shut up, kid. Timmy. I need to use the bathroom. He proceeds to walk into my house and take a dump. I was pissed. He left the PlayStation 4 Pro and PSVR outside. My brain sparked. I went to my shed and got a container of gasoline and stacked the 2 console boxes on top of each other. My fire pit is a big metal bowl. I dump all the gasoline in and put the stacked boxes in. Timmy walks out and, Timmy, oh, thanks for protecting them. Me, you want to experience the 4th of July early? Timmy, huh? I lit the gas and it exploded into a big ball of fire. Timmy was calling me names. He came over to me, told me I had to pay $1,000 and punched me in the face. I tripped him and he ran away. I never paid him back. I've noticed a couple of you guys have been getting a bit upset over me not saying certain profane words. I apologize, I'm just not going to do it on this channel. This is solely meant to make people laugh and feel good, and I don't want to say stuff that's going to make people upset at the end of the day, so I apologize, just not going to do it. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed those last few stories. Now, do I even have to say it? We're going to switch it on up and head right into the bonus section, which today is going to be one of my favorite bonuses, r/choosing beggars. I know we've done this one a lot, but come on now, this one's amazing, so let's do it. Hi sweet girl, I have a kind of weird request. I wasn't able to work last week, and we're behind this week. Would you be willing, by any chance, to help us out with groceries this week? I feel really bad asking. Hi, actually, I have food that I'm getting rid of, that I would be glad to give to you. Basically, all kid-friendly. I bought groceries for a friend yesterday, but she won't make it out this week. So, I'd be glad to give it to you. Could you pick it up? That's great, but... And there's the but. Actually, I made a grocery list of things that I want/need, if that's okay. I was hoping I could stay home with the kids and you could bring me the groceries. That would be easiest for me. You had an angel descend and actually be willing to give you groceries, which I never expected, and you just smack away that opportunity. You choosing beggar. I ordered 60 or so, oh my god, 60 sushi rolls? 60 or so sushi rolls, because I thought they were on sale. But it turns out something else that was on sale. But anyways, I was also with my kids, so we were all eating sushi, and then they gave me the bill, and I saw it was over $100, which I didn't have. And since me and my kids hadn't eaten 30 or so of the sushi rolls, I told the waitress I'd give back the sushi for a refund of all the sushi we didn't eat. She refused. It should be every restaurant's policy that a customer is always right. Always. So then I had to leave my kids at the restaurant and had to drive to the nearest ATM and get enough money for the bill. This is not okay. I will not be returning anytime soon. And just what do you think returning that sushi is gonna do for them? Do you think the owner's just gonna turn around and say, okay, well, give it to table 4? No. They're just gonna throw all that away. Way to go, lady. Hey bro, Logo can discount 50%? No problem, bro. You know, usually I sell this at full price, but because of your illiterate caveman text, I'll give it to you 50% off. I don't know how you expected that to play out. Hi, I don't remember seeing this. Do you want to take my graduation photos for free? But I'll tip you and buy you food or a drink. I really like your shots, plus lighting, plus filter. Plus, you have no darker skinned girls, so I can basically be practice. Yeah, no problem. Just make sure to tip the normal $750 asking price, and don't even worry about the food or drink. We'll just wave that aside. Alrighty guys, that's gonna wrap it up for today. Hope you enjoyed the stories, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.